What's up, Den of Nerds? I'm Anime Dan, and I've got some spicy comic book controversy for you today. So, Indonesia had an X-Men Gold issue number 1, and in it, the artist Ardian Syaf has hidden, not so subtly since we're all talking about it today, some anti-Semitic and anti-Christian imagery. He has the number 212, as well as the phrase QS 551. Now, 212 is referring to a historic protest in Indonesia that was against a non-Muslim government official, and the phrase QS 551 refers to a specific Quranic passage that is interpreted in a variety of different ways, and that's the second point I'm going to touch on. The first one is the inclusion of these symbols at all. So this has gotten through any kind of quality assurance check. I mean, it could be, if you're not looking for it, it's the kind of thing that you'll be like, alright, I'm not aware of this. But I think in Indonesia, where this is very topical, it was picked up on right away, and that's why this has exploded so quickly. These were not very subtly put in there. The number 212, QS 551, appears prominently on people's clothing, and in the background, most prominently on Cyclops' own shirt while he's playing some baseball. He's just cracking into that ball with QS 551. I don't really think you can call this a controversy. This guy is putting in this discriminatory media into this comic book. It is not an opinion that's at all shared with Marvel. They've since terminated him. None of us want to see that. So I think we can all agree that putting in these anti-Semitic comments was not a good move to make. What I have seen real quickly after that is a lot of people jumping on these Quranic verses don't actually mean what he thinks they mean. So I went on to research this, and the first 2 or 3 articles I found were about how the Indonesian translation of the original Arabic that this phrase is in lends itself to saying, do not take Jews or Christians as leaders or advisors. And so he has put this in the comic book because they have a Christian mayor being elected in Basuki. His name is Basuki Purnama. Basuki Purnama. He's currently on trial for blasphemy, which is why this was topical enough for him to put his message into this X-Men book. What I've heard is that the original Arabic of this phrase specifically refers to a close relationship with what's called a wali, or a lawyer, which would be kind of like your case worker if you were going to court, or it would be the person managing your will if you passed away. That would be your wali, or kind of like a lawyer. And then I've heard that this phrase in the Quran was revealed at a time when the Arabic world was in a trade war, and so of course you wouldn't want a lawyer from the nation you're opposing to be representing you because you're in the middle of a trade war. Blah, 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 blah. To me, that's just a whole bunch of red herrings being dragged all over the place. You can translate it in a bunch of different ways. The person who put it into the comic book was under the interpretation that this phrase meant, let's not have Jewish or Christian leaders. So that's why he put QS 551. If he's wrong and it actually means he was actually saying, let's not have Jewish lawyers, that's silly, but it's still not good to say. You know what I mean? There's still no precedent for not having Jewish lawyers. Yeah, so you can scramble to the defense of the phrase all you want and say that it's not actually an anti-Semitic phrase. It contextually made sense to be anti-Semitic at that time. But I don't think you can then jump to the defense of Ardian Syaf and say that he was right to put these in here, or there is no reason to fire him or anything like that. So let me know what you think. Is this an anti-Semitic phrase from the Quran? Is the interpretation of it as loose as people are suggesting? In the link to this video, I'll put in a link to an interpretation that I think you should read. So, thanks for watching. I'm Anime Dan, and this is the Den of Nerds.